A billionaire pretended to be poor for one day. Only a single dad shared his last meal with her. The woman sitting alone on the crowded city sidewalk looked like someone the world had completely forgotten. Her faded grey hoodie, worn sneakers, and old backpack made her appear no different from countless people struggling to get through another difficult day. Hundreds of strangers walked past without slowing down. Some avoided eye contact. Others glanced for only a second before continuing toward their busy lives. But hidden beneath those ordinary clothes was one of the wealthiest women in the country, a billionaire whose name appeared on magazine covers and business headlines almost every week. She had given herself just one ordinary day to discover whether kindness still existed among strangers. By sunset, only one person would stop. Ironically, that person had almost nothing left to give. He was a struggling single father whose own stomach was empty, yet he would quietly offer his last meal to someone he believed needed it more than he did. Before this emotional journey begins, please take a moment to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to Kindness Inspire if you believe kindness and second chances still exist in today's world. Your support helps us continue bringing meaningful stories that inspire millions. The bright morning sky stretched across the city as people hurried through parks, sidewalks, and busy intersections. The cool breeze carried the sounds of buses, bicycles, and distant conversations. Office workers balanced coffee cups while students rushed toward classrooms. It looked like an ordinary weekday, yet for 39-year-old Celine Ashcroft, nothing about this day would be ordinary. Celine had built one of the country's largest healthcare technology companies from a small apartment nearly 2 decades earlier. Newspapers describe her as brilliant, fearless, and endlessly successful. Her company employed thousands of people, and charitable foundations regularly praised her donations. Yet despite all the awards and recognition, something had quietly begun to trouble her heart. During one interview, a reporter had asked whether ordinary people still treated one another with genuine compassion or whether generosity had become something performed only for cameras and social media. The question stayed with her for weeks. Instead of commissioning another charity campaign, Celine decided to search for the answer herself. Only 3 trusted assistants knew her plan. They drove her to a downtown neighborhood shortly after sunrise. She changed into simple clothing, a faded grey hoodie, worn blue jeans, inexpensive sneakers, and an old backpack. Her long dark brown hair was tied into a loose ponytail beneath a plain baseball cap. She removed every piece of jewelry and left behind the elegant appearance recognized by the business world. For the first time in many years, she walked through the city completely unnoticed. She sat quietly beside a public square where hundreds of people passed throughout the morning. Hours slipped away. Some people stared briefly before looking elsewhere. Others crossed the street. Several spoke politely to one another about helping people someday, yet none actually stopped. Celine wasn't angry. She simply observed. She noticed how quickly people judged appearances. Expensive clothing earned smiles while worn clothing often earned silence. Just after noon, another story was quietly unfolding only a few streets away. 42-year-old Mason Calder balanced 2 grocery bags while holding the tiny hand of his 7-year-old daughter, Ivy. Mason worked long hours repairing bicycles at a neighborhood workshop. Ever since his wife passed away 4 years earlier following a sudden illness, every responsibility rested on his shoulders. Between rent, school supplies, food, and utilities, almost every paycheck disappeared before the week ended. Life constantly tested him. Yet one promise never changed. He had promised Ivy they would always remain kind, no matter how difficult life became. That afternoon, Mason counted the few dollars remaining in his wallet and purchased one simple meal consisting of 2 sandwiches, an apple, and 1 bottle of water. It was enough for him and Ivy until dinner. As they walked toward the nearby park, Ivy noticed the quiet woman sitting alone beneath a large maple tree. She gently tugged her father's sleeve. Mason followed her eyes. The woman looked exhausted. Her backpack rested beside her, untouched for hours. Without hesitation, Mason walked toward her. He knew exactly what it felt like to wonder whether tomorrow would somehow become easier. He offered one of the sandwiches without asking questions. Celine looked up in surprise. She politely hesitated. Mason insisted with a warm smile. Although his own face revealed signs of fatigue from years of hard work, kindness seemed completely natural to him. Little Ivy smiled as she handed over the apple. She believed sharing made food taste better. Celine quietly accepted the meal, overwhelmed by something she had not expected to feel. For the first time that day, Someone had treated her like a human being instead of an inconvenience. As they sat together beneath the shade, Mason spoke about ordinary life. He mentioned repairing bicycles, helping customers, raising Ivy, and trying every day to become both mother and father for his daughter. He never asked why the stranger sat alone. He never expected anything in return. He simply believed no one should feel hungry if he had something to share. Celine listened carefully. She noticed how Ivy laughed while feeding small birds nearby with tiny pieces of bread. She noticed Mason watching his daughter with quiet pride despite the exhaustion in his eyes. She realized that although his wallet was nearly empty, his heart remained incredibly rich. Before leaving, Mason wished the woman well and continued toward the park with Ivy. Celine remained seated long after they disappeared into the distance. Tears slowly filled her eyes. She had spent years donating millions of dollars through organizations, yet one ordinary father had reminded her what kindness truly looked like. It expected nothing. It asked for nothing. It simply gave. That evening, Celine returned home unable to forget the encounter. Rather than sending an assistant with money, she instructed her research team to quietly learn more about Mason's life. Everything they discovered strengthened her admiration. He had never missed one of Ivy's school events despite working overtime. He volunteered every month repairing bicycles for children whose families could not afford new ones. Neighbors describe him as dependable, respectful, and endlessly generous. Yet financially, he struggled every single month. Celine knew exactly what she wanted to do. The following week, Mason's bicycle workshop unexpectedly received an invitation to compete for a citywide contract supplying and maintaining bicycles for several schools and community programs. The small workshop owner almost declined, believing larger companies would certainly win. Still, they submitted their proposal. Several weeks later, they were astonished to learn they had earned the contract. The agreement guaranteed steady work for years. No one realized the anonymous investor who insisted local businesses receive fair opportunities was Celine herself. Business immediately improved. Mason received a promotion managing the expanded repair division. His income nearly doubled. For the first time since losing his wife, he no longer worried every evening about paying next month's rent. He moved Ivy into a brighter apartment closer to her school. She finally had her own bedroom decorated with books, colorful artwork, and the small telescope she had dreamed of owning. Yet success never changed Mason's heart. Every Saturday afternoon, he organized free bicycle safety events for neighborhood children. He repaired damaged bicycles without charging struggling families. He remembered exactly how difficult life had once been. Months later, the city hosted a community appreciation event honoring local volunteers and business leaders. Mason attended only because several parents had nominated him for helping children. He expected nothing more than a simple certificate. As the ceremony began, the host introduced the keynote speaker. The audience immediately recognized billionaire entrepreneur Celine Ashcroft. Mason watched respectfully from the back row. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of speaking about business achievements, Celine began telling the story of one ordinary afternoon when she had dressed like someone with nothing. She described spending hours unnoticed by hundreds of strangers. She explained how only one father and his young daughter had stopped. She spoke about receiving a sandwich and an apple from people who could barely afford their own lunch. The audience became completely silent. Only then did Mason slowly realize she was describing him. Celine invited Mason and Ivy onto the stage. The little girl nervously held her father's hand. Standing before hundreds of people, Celine explained that true wealth was never measured by bank accounts. Real wealth lived inside hearts willing to give even during difficult seasons. She revealed that Mason's simple act of compassion had restored her faith in humanity. Then she announced something no one expected. Her foundation would establish the Calder Community Mobility Center providing free bicycle repairs, training programs, and employment opportunities for single parents and young adults learning mechanical skills. She invited Mason to lead the entire program. Tears filled the audience. Mason struggled to believe what he was hearing. The opportunity would not only secure his daughter's future but also allow him to help countless families facing challenges similar to his own. He accepted with humble gratitude. Over the following years, the center transformed hundreds of lives. Parents found stable employment. Teenagers learned valuable mechanical skills. Children received safe bicycles for school and recreation. Every repaired bicycle carried a small plaque that read, "Kindness always travels further." Visitors often asked Celine why she had trusted one ordinary father with such an important mission. Her answer never changed. She explained that character reveals itself most clearly when no one is watching. A person who shares their last meal without expecting recognition already possesses the qualities money can never purchase. As for Ivy, she grew into a compassionate young woman inspired by her father's example. She often reminded new volunteers that the entire organization existed because one simple sandwich had been shared beneath a tree on an ordinary afternoon. Years later, people still remembered that story. Not because a billionaire helped someone in need, but because someone in need chose kindness first. Sometimes the greatest miracles begin long before wealth becomes involved. Sometimes they begin with a father teaching his daughter that compassion should never depend on the size of your wallet. Every person we meet carries a story hidden beneath the surface. Some wear expensive suits while carrying invisible pain. Others wear worn-out clothes while carrying extraordinary hope. The choice to be kind costs nothing, yet its value can echo across generations. ***, if this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, leave a meaningful comment, and subscribe to Kindness Inspire. Your support allows us to continue creating inspiring stories that remind the world compassion still changes lives. Special request, comment below. Kindness is the greatest wealth. Let's fill the comments with hope and inspire others to choose compassion every single day. As the bright afternoon sky stretched across the city once again, children laughed outside the Calder Community Mobility Center while parents worked together repairing bicycles and building brighter futures. Ivy watched proudly as her father welcomed another family through the doors with the same warm smile he had once offered a stranger beneath a tree. Across the courtyard, Celine quietly observed without seeking attention, grateful that one ordinary day in simple clothes had revealed an extraordinary truth. Wealth could build buildings, but only kindness could build lives. And all because one single father chose to share his last meal with someone the world had forgotten.